Judging from the comments on my Outlast Explained video, it didn't really wrap up everything there was in the game, so I found a timeline here posted by Fixer on the Steam community forum again. Hopefully this will clear those last unanswered questions up. German scientists are working on nanotechnology among other things for the Nazis. German scientists manages to create some form of sentient cloud of nanomachines. Basically what they did alters your own body to make your cells produce additional molecules. Those extra molecules make up the nanomachines. So now your cells do normal cell things, but also produce tiny little robots. They also mentioned something about carcinogenic research, so it's likely that they use the properties of cancer, the part where the cell reproduces a lot, to in some way boost the production of these machines. Whatever the scientist created, it killed most of the Nazis he worked for. He let the Nazi survivors believe that it was the Walrider, some form of mythical beast from German legend that messed with people as they slept. He allowed the rest of the Nazis to kill themselves in the hopes that it might release some sort of spirit thing like the patient did. Of course, since they didn't have whatever therapy they were giving the patient, all that really happened was their death. At the end of World War II, when the US found all the dead camps and horrible labs that the Germans and Japanese had set up, they pardoned some of the Nazis and Japanese scientists in exchange for their research. In some cases, the US even hired these scientists in order to conduct slightly more humane extensions of their research. That's not game lore, that's real life. Many of the technologies that were taken for granted now really were due in part to the research done by Nazis and Japanese scientists. As horrible as it is, modern medicine was advanced greatly due to the downright evil experiments done by these scientists. Anyhow, this ties into the game because it's really heavily hinted all over that this supposedly dead German scientist was actually smuggled into the country at the end of World War II due to his research. One of the documents says that it was much about hiring him for his research as it was hiring him to keep him out of enemy hands. This is where MKULTRE project, another real thing, comes in. In real life, the project had to do with hypnosis and personality augmentation. The details as far as how successful they were, or what the real aim was, remain scarce and sketchy. But in the game's lore, the Murkoff Corporation hires some of the guys from that, heading the team with the German scientist. He names the research Project Walrider. Murkoff Corporation buys the asylum and reopens it. Project Walrider, headed by the German scientist, takes the mentally ill that Murkoff Corporation provides and uses some combination of sleep therapy, hypnosis, and medical mucking about to create test subjects for that big machine at the end. The ultimate goal seemed to be military application. I would guess that they thought they could use the soldiers as hosts to create these nanomachine clouds, and then those nanomachine clouds would do to the enemy soldiers what the Walrider does to everyone in the game. It's another one of those evil super weapon projects gone wrong, using the mentally ill as test subjects because people don't seem to care too much what happens to them. The big guy, Chris Walker, is a failed test subject. Presumably the carcinogenic part of the research causes him to bulk up like crazy. Murkoff has tons of problems with this guy even before things go off the rails. I can't remember exactly what his backstory was, but we'll touch on that a bit more later. Billy Hope becomes the first successful test subject. Unfortunately, this means he creates a scary cloud of sentient nanomachines. All hell breaks loose, by which I mean most of the test subjects break loose while the cloud kills all the staff. Almost everybody dies, either at the hands of the patients or at the hands of the nanomachine cloud. From here on out, the patients refer to it as the Walrider. Pastor Martin likely already had some issues, but he finally found something to worship in the Walrider. It's invisible, it kills all the guards and doctors that hurt him while more or less sparing the patients. As far as salvation figures go, the Walrider makes a pretty good candidate for some sort of god for him to worship. At some point the Naked Twins and a few others join the congregation. They're very much free agents, but they respect Pastor Martin enough to not kill you while he's around and leave you alone after his death. Chris Walker, free from his contamination, begins most of everything. I'm not certain at the end of the game why he was so keen on killing you, but hey, everyone's gonna have a hobby. We see him kill others. It's likely that he just fixated on you because you got away. I wasn't 100% certain of his backstory. He might have been one of the staff originally, which could explain him attempting to protect the secrets of the facility. It's written in the notes that he babbles about containment. Either way, he's free at this point in the story. You know the rest from there. You enter the story here. Glorious, wonderful, defenseless you. You're there to record some conspiracy you've been tipped off to. At that point, you played through the story, so I'll skip most of that. The only person worth mentioning that I haven't yet is Traeger. It's never really certain what his deal is. He's an executive, not a doctor. Either way, he went crazy from working with the stuff Murkoff had been doing. or he is another one of those insane scientists that Murkoff hired but didn't list on their payroll. Some of the documents cast doubt on both theories. They say that Billy somehow finds out stuff about the corporation and Project Walrider through blood memories provided by Dr. Traeger. But the only Traeger they have on file is Richard Traeger, an executive. My own personal theory is that some temporal or spatial anomalies have been created by Project Walrider. Somehow his nanomachine, Ghost, breached containment and provided information to him. That could be the ghost seen by Traeger killing people and spilling executive secrets. The temporal aspect comes in there, as Traeger might not have declared himself a doctor and started messing with people yet. Or maybe he was, and word just hadn't reached the writer or the document yet. Perhaps I missed or misread a document somewhere which mentioned Traeger being one of the patients. Then the ghost would have something to spy on and get information from. Either way, all you need to know, you witness yourself. Traeger is a crazy guy, and he cut your fingers off. It's not likely that he has much connection to the deeper elements of Project Walrider. I'd say at best he'd be a likely candidate for the guy medically prepping the patients for being subjects for Project Walrider. That's if he's a part of it at all. Many of the patients were already crazy, and when they got out, just started doing as crazy people do. It might not matter much when, where, or how Dr. Traeger became what he is, because what's important to you is that he's the guy who cut off your fingers, and he's hell-bent on carving you up some more if he catches you. Now we've skipped to the end, and you're meeting the German scientist. Billy has latched onto him, and regards everyone and everything that looks like staff or soldiers as a threat. The German scientist is as murky on the motives as you are, but tells you that you're most likely not getting out as long as Billy is alive. Given that he's already murdered Chris Walker in front of you, you're inclined to believe him. As for why Billy didn't kill you then and there, it's theorized that Billy didn't see you as a threat yet. Meanwhile, Chris Walker seemed to have some sort of military background or affiliation. If nothing else, he's a huge, hulking monster of a man, and that'd be a threat to a German scientist. So he kills Chris Walker and spares your life, allowing you to meet up with the German scientist. Once you're done with him, you set off to kill Billy so you can escape. So, you kill Billy, in the hopes that this might shut down / destroy the nanomachines and the Walrider. But in the process of cutting the life support, the cloud of nanomachines grabs you a few times and stabs you. The nanomachines disappear, you fall and appear to break a leg, and Billy is killed. Just as you're about to limp your way back out of the facility, doors open and there's a whole squad of soldiers aimed at you. Haha! You've been had! And you've been holding all the evidence of what they've done. You're the best cleanup agent ever, all by accident. The German scientist is present and watches as the soldiers kill you. As you die, the screams and gunfire of the soldiers are the last sounds in your ears. You were carrying the nanomachines in your body when they killed you. Apparently you can jump hosts. Who knew? You certainly didn't, and who would be around who would even know what the nanomachines were capable of? You'd already killed all the doctors, and they were way into uncharted territory. Looks like the cloud of nanomachines has broken loose again, this time with nobody anywhere capable of stopping it, and nothing keeping it in place. The biggest thing to remember is that it never really was a ghost, and that the patients simply thought that a cloud of nanomachines was the mythical Walrider, based off superstition and rumors they heard. Hell, for most of the game you might have been there with them, thinking there was an honest-to-God ghost hunting you down. Nobody really had any way of knowing what the Walrider was until you met the German scientist who told you about it. If you understood all of this already, I suspect the problem is that you just don't like the ending. And that's fine. Just keep in mind that this game was all about the journey. You were supposed to wander throughout the game. You were supposed to question you weren't meant to understand. The designers wanted to keep you guessing as to what was going on. Are these events supernatural? What's up with the patients?
How do X and Y fit into the Z conspiracy? Why did character A do this to me? What happened to character B prior to my arrival?
You're supposed to keep asking these questions. It keeps you going. Looking at it that way, if you still have questions, the game was a huge success. The creators have thought, let's give you an ending that's horrible, just like the rest of the game's events. You'll walk away and you'll still be thinking about the game after you finish.
And you might even discuss it with people.